Hi, I'm Joe Shepley, Vice President and Information Security Practice Leader at Doculabs. One of the hottest topics that we're seeing, both at conferences like RSA or HIMSS, as well as just in conversations with clients, is this idea of a Defensible Disposition Playbook. A little background on what that is. So if you picture the migration of content from one system to another, or the purging of content from a system, say cleaning out a billing or a claims system, there's all sorts of IT controls that you typically have in place to make sure that that migration or that purge happens in a way that you only purge the data that you wanted to, or all the data that migrated from one system to another moved with the right metadata and didn't get corrupted and so on. That's pretty well known. But what we typically haven't done is to put in place other kinds of documentation about that migration or that purge that, say, a lawyer 10 years from now would need when there's a lawsuit about the content that was migrated or purged, so that they could go to a meet and confer, or, heaven forbid, be deposed in a courtroom and have to defend what the organization did. And so we're seeing firms more and more interested in partnering to build what's called a Defensible Disposition Playbook. And what this would be is what a lawyer or a legal resource would need 5 years, 10 years, 15 years from now, when questioned about a migration or a purge, to say what happened and why, what did we mean to do, what did we do, what actually happened, what policies were enforced at the time that we were conforming this migration or purge to, what were the actual scripts that were run, how did we determine what was PHI or PII or PCI or junk or stale, and what protocols did we use, and how did we embed that into systems, and how did they act on it, and so on, as well as the testing methodologies we use to make sure that, say, every mailbox from Exchange came over, and that the metadata on each message was the same, and that if an attachment was on this message here, the attachment is on the same message there, and so on. All the things that, as part of a legal or regulatory investigation later, we'd want to know the answers to in order to make our response to it reasonable, defensible, and so on. And yet, despite how almost common sense this sounds, I'd say I could count on one hand with some fingers left over the number of organizations that are already building this into their practice, or even have it on their radar screen. And so at Doculabs, we've been working pretty hard to not only trumpet this in the industry, but start to build out collateral like white papers, blog posts, webinars, and speak at conferences to share our expertise around building these playbooks and make sure that folks feel comfortable with what they need to do to make sure that the very important content lifecycle work they're doing around migrating and purging is not just good from an information lifecycle perspective, but from a legal, regulatory, and compliance perspective. Thank you.